welcome back to The Joy of Being You. My name is Michelle, and here I talk about all things occult, manifestation, hermetic, whatever it might be. It's all about mentalism. It's that your mind creates your reality. And today I'm just going to dive into one of the passages I have in the book that I reference often called Neville Goddard, The Complete Collection. And basically what I like to do here is just explain from a Christian Catholic lens the concept of consciousness and manifestation. In my point of view, religion, all religions are saying the same thing but different, and for whatever reason we have wars and fight over who's right and wrong for hundreds of years. The way I see it truly, it's all about controlling your mind, controlling the way you think, people outside of you, that is. You know, if you believe that you are so right and then someone is so wrong, some people will die for their beliefs. And that's how insane this world has gotten, is I will die on this mark, or whatever it is, whatever stance you take, because I am just so conditioned to believe that that's the truth. But I'm here to say that anything is true so long as you believe it. And that sounds crazy because you're like, well, how can you believe that the grass is red if it shows up green or whatever? And what I'm trying to say is your thoughts about your life is what create your experience. So if you're saying I'm poor, life will have to just reflect back to you that state of being. If you tell yourself, I'm just a lucky person, and that's how it's always been, because you were lucky enough truly to have parents or some sort of guardian that guided you to think that way, that will then be your life. That is what I'm trying to say. When you have a belief, the world will mirror back to you your belief. And that's why Christ is a parable. Christ relates to chrism. Chrism is the oil that runs down your spine when you're going into a meditative state. And that's how we get Santa Claus, because Claus comes from claustrum. Chrism, claustrum, all going down your neck or your chimney and back up again. That is Santa. That is Santa Claus. And that's how we get that in religion. So again, Scripture is a terrible game of telephone in this modern day and age, and it all translates back to the same concept, that there's a God within you that gives you the infinite potential to create things outside of you for you to experience. This world is not supposed to be demonic and dark. This world is supposed to be fun. But the people in control know that your mind creates your reality, which is why they want your attention. They want it so badly that they will go out of their way to bombard you with stimulation after stimulation, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, the TV, whether it's in the newspaper, your podcasts, your local news, your national news. Everything is always so negative. Do you think that's just coincidence? Or do you think that's a purposeful tactic to keep you negative, so you keep creating negative? That is the agenda at hand. But if we start creating positive for ourselves, then we can start creating beauty in our world. And heaven forbid you feel joy for once, and heaven forbid everyone start feeling joy for once. We would all wake up simultaneously. We would all create a world that's beautiful. And that's why I talk about what I do, is because I've been able to make my life beautiful, and I continue to do that, and I want others to be encouraged to do the same and see the power within them. So in this book, there's a passage speaking about the parable of a child. Scripture tells of a man whose child is dead. Yet when he went to the man of God and asked that the child be made alive once more, it was done unto him. Does that make sense logically? When someone dies and their soul is gone, can you literally bring them back to life? I haven't seen it really happen. This is a parable. Your ideal, be it for success, health, romance, money, or fame, is your child who is dead. Because that is your creation, and you think your dreams are impossible to create. However, if you believe that you could create the child you want, which is the life you want, he would be born again or be made new. That's what this is about. But if you will believe in its life and walk in the assumption that you are successful, healthy, or wealthy, if this is your desire, your child which sleepeth will rise from the dead state and be alive in your world. It's very similar to Christ resurrecting. He was crucified in a place called Golgotha, and Golgotha translates to the place of the skull. When you sacrifice your logic and understand your logic keeps you bound to the physical plane. You will resurrect in consciousness to the right side of the Father. The right side of the Father is the right side of your brain. This is where you set intentions. It is the connection to divinity, your intuition, and source. The left side is rationale, ego, and logic. That's why you have to tithe the 10%, because you only use 10% of your brain, right? Remember learning that in science? That's what tithing is. God does not want your money. Why would he want anything material in nature if God is solely spiritual? We are made humans incarnate to experience the physical plane. It's not a sin to want of the physical realm. Why are you a physical entity if you're here? That wouldn't make sense. That's a huge contradiction and a red flag. It should get your attention. So understand the things that you state, right, become your children. And your children become your creations, and your creations come from what you imagine, what you think, what you really believe. And what you really believe is what you have faith in. And faith in Latin means confidence. What are you confident about? What are you convinced of? And when you're convinced of something, guess what? That becomes your reality. So if you're convinced you're lucky, you're going to keep winning scratch-offs. Why is it that someone always wins the lottery and it's never you? I have a friend that was open to listening to me about this kind of stuff. And I started telling him a little bit more about it. And he was very down. And coincidentally, but not so coincidentally, more so alignment, I think, he asked me why I had so many notes on my computer one day. And I asked him, do you really want to know? And he said, yeah. So I explained to him the occult and the esoteric. Him also being born a Catholic and, being open to learning. I told him about Florence Scovel Shinn. I told him about Neville Goddard. And since then, he said, you're the reason why I'm happy again. Thank you. It's not because of me, but it's because of the information that gave him a rebirth. He was born again. That's what born again Christians are. They're supposed to be born to their consciousness, but yet they're born into their church that keeps indoctrinating them to keep donating to some priest that doesn't even know how this stuff even works. I don't think the priest even understands. The majority of them don't. And with my friend, what he was able to do is he felt so good about manifestation and that this being true, right? There was a rush of excitement to believe that this was his inherent nature, is to create through his thoughts. That he told himself he was very wealthy. He was very healthy. He was very well off and doing much better than he had done in the past. He won a $500 scratch off. How is that? He also lost a lot of weight. I didn't say anything, but I was like, wow, you look great. Self-concept will change you. You can most certainly change your body with affirmations. I've been doing it to myself, being curvier, leaner. It's definitely worked. You can see body transformations on YouTube of people changing their noses, changing their faces. People look more attractive, less attractive. It depends on what their inner state is. Do they feel magnetic? Do they feel negative? I bet in my older videos, watching my older scripture content, you might think I'm more agitated, which probably was the case. And you could probably feel it. But in these videos now, I speak more so freely and just talk about these concepts based on how I've practiced them in my life. It's very natural. There isn't much preparation. It just comes from me knowing that this is true and speaking from conviction because this is my truth. This has been my reality. So as an example, for manifestation not too long ago, I went to a concert and I was more in the vibe of, I get the best views, I get their attention, this is so easy, this is so fun. So I like country music, right? And this was a long festival, a couple of days. And at one point, Post Malone was coming out at like the peak day. And I told myself that day, maybe with like half an hour in the morning, and telling myself throughout the day, I get the best view of Post Malone. Oh my God, I get so close to him, I could even meet him. Like, I am just so close. And anyone who's been to a festival kind of knows that if you want to be with the headliner, like in the front, you have to like be there early. And me and my friends, like we were there maybe at like, I don't know, 8, and he goes on, I think at like maybe 10 or something, maybe a little bit earlier than that. So it's not like we're there all day camping out, you know? But that doesn't matter. You don't have to be there all day camping out. Logically, that makes sense, yeah. But through the power of manifestation, logic is void. What do you want? Claim it to be your reality. So I told myself, I get so close to Post Malone. Oh my God, I'm so close to him. And I remember visualizing myself, here's my eraser, but I'll pretend it's my phone. I was like this in my visualization, seeing him in my screen, being that close to him, right? So I set that intention. And I'm with my friends, we're in a good spot. My friends kind of like pushed to the front, which is cool, I don't mind that. Like a little bit, you know, not so much. We're just maybe like 35 rows of people back. Like I can't even quantify it, but it's like a good amount away. Still a decent view, but like I want to be close to the front, okay? So I tell myself, this isn't it. Like we're getting closer. I don't know how, but you don't have to know the how. What do you want? Everything goes my way, right? That's the self-concept we need to hold for ourselves. It's being convinced that you are God and what you decree has to come to pass. The more you practice it, the more it becomes who you are. It's not being about arrogant. It's about knowing your power and knowing that this is how the world operates. So we're in this spot, and behind me comes a guy with his dad, and very nice guy. He's talking to us. He's like, I don't know, like kind of my age, I guess. And he talks a lot. My friends, they come bring us food. We're holding our spot. We're talking to him. It's kind of accustomed to speak with the people around you, because if you have to leave, then they'll support you when you come back, right? Like they'll save your spot, whatever it might be, or they'll at least try to help. So we talk to them for that reason. I'm sure he talks to us for that reason. I wasn't hungry in that moment, and I wanted to just offer some food because I had food that I wasn't touching. And I was like, do you want French fries? Do you want this? I offered it to his dad too. I'm like, are you hungry? You can have some. They took some, whatever, we're talking. And I didn't mention this earlier, but I told myself also that night, I get a free drink. I get a free, what are they called? I don't even know. Is it a tall boy? A Surfside, a big one. It's like a 2-serving one. I was like, I get one of those for free. Set an intention, didn't even bat an eye. There was no saturation needed, because I was like, that is so possible, it doesn't even matter. But being close to Post Malone seems a little bit more restrictive, because the mind has mental blocks to what's logically possible. But again, manifestation is not logical. So when you practice it more, you'll see, you'll just have less resistance in general, because you see how much power you have through your declaration of what it is you want to experience. So this guy, after giving him food, talking to him, I'm just being nice because I like to be nice, I like to be social. He tells me, hey, by the way, I know one of the bartenders here, and they've been hooking me up with free drinks. Do you want a free drink? I said yes. So manifestation number 1 complete. He comes back and gives me the drink. Awesome. So we're just like talking, hanging out, whatever. And slowly but surely we're getting closer. This guy wants to get close to the stage as well. And he knows I do too, because he asked me. He was the bridge of incidents. He's like, I'll show you how to get closer. And what it was putting your shoes closer to people's feet so they're stepping on them and they indirectly move forward. That was his tactic. It worked, but like I'm not like consciously doing it. I just know I'm gonna get closer, right? So eventually we get pretty close. I'm pretty near the main stage, and there's 2 obstacles left, essentially. Tall people. There was a tall boy, and I'm assuming a friend, a cousin, a brother, don't know, similar in age. And I was like, you're not obstructing my view. You're gonna move. And I told myself this, move, 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 move. You're gonna move, you're gonna move, 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 move. I kept saying it over and over and over, declaring, decreeing, knowing. And what happened to him was scary. I didn't want this to happen, but it was the bridge of incidents that presented itself. So I'm not purposefully hoping that this is the case, but I normally set intentions, I get what I want in the perfect way, not including violence or hurt. But what happened to this guy is that he passed out in front of me. I didn't see it. I was talking to someone behind me and I felt a thud on the ground. I saw the guy on the ground. I was like, oh my God. People rushed around him, make sure he was okay. He got back up, was drinking water. Post Malone stopped the set and was staring right in our direction because it happened right in front of me. Now, I could have taken a picture to prove you, but I'm not an indecent human and that's not going to ever happen. People's safety happens first. So I was more so concerned about that. But 100% it did happen. He's right in front of me on the ground. Post Malone stopped the whole concert and is like, is he okay? And he's looking right at me in my direction. And people are helping him already. I really didn't need to do anything. Thankfully, he gets back up. He's shaken up, looks at his friend, cousin, brother, whatever. They decide they have to leave. Thank God he was okay. Explaining the bridge of incidents, I move forward to get closer. Again, I never want anyone to get hurt, but I don't think he did. He was able to move. A person next to me said he locked his knees, which cuts off the blood support to your brain. So you black out for a little bit. It's kind of like deadlifting when they faint and they lock their knees too much. So, God willing, hope he's okay and everything's fine. But I'm explaining the situation that had happened. I move closer and I get very close. The next person is like a grandpa. And of course, he's like 6'5". And I'm like, okay, if that happened and he was okay and it's just what naturally occurred, you're gonna move too. Move. You're going to move. Get out of here. Move. You are going to move. Bye. Move. I said that for maybe 2 minutes straight. And what happened to this situation is the man was with his wife, his aunt, or his partner, whatever. I have no clues. His sister. That's what I wanted to say. They talk to each other, hug young children around them goodbye, and decide to leave during Post Malone's mid-set. Why would you leave mid-set? Doesn't matter. Illogical, they had to go. I said move. On earth as it is in heaven. Heaven, what do you say here, which is the cause, and the effect is the 3D, it's the physical plane. So you birth what you want to experience through your brain, through your third eye, and you sit and rest in the day of the Sabbath. What are you setting the intention for? The day of the Sabbath means rest. Know what you want. This guy is gonna move, so I have a perfect view of the concert venue, and I keep saying it over and over, and I'm sitting in the day of the Sabbath in that knowing he will move. And what happened? Bye, I gotta go, see you later. He moved, and then I had a perfect view of the front stage. I got so close to Post Malone, I was like maybe 3 people back from him. And coincidentally enough, all the singers during this concert that were headliners, not all, but a lot of them, came down to sign autographs. They didn't do that before. Hardly would they do that before. And a lot of them did this year. Is it because of me? I'm going to carry the conviction in myself and say, yes, you have to. That's how manifestation works. What are you convinced of? And that will become your reality. I don't care if it was or was not me. Say it is you. The more you say it's you, the more you are convinced. And that is how you become a God on earth. So I have pictures of that, and I'm going to show you, I guess here or here, whatever, videos or stills of him and how close I really got. But truly, what do you want to experience in that world? You are constantly birthing experiences, and those are your children, right? Just like God birthed humans, we birth experiences. We were made in his image and his likeness. We too can birth humans. We are portals for life to come through, but we also can birth experiences. So understand, truly, your attention creates so much of your life. And if you are just to practice simple manifestations to remove resistance that you might have that steer you away from thinking it's possible or not possible to manifest in your life, I guarantee you will start creating amazing things in your world. So if you like this video, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe to my content. I also have an Etsy store with occult, esoteric apparel and greeting cards and magnets and stuff, as well as a children's book about consciousness called Who is the Voice That Lives in My Head? That's available on Amazon, and I'm on TikTok as well. So if you want to give me a follow, that's cool. If not, no worries. Thank you so much again for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.